Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the very first Saturday morning in this Halloween month of October. You know, there's a lot of spooky stuff for kids that I've kind of touched on over the years in various videos, updates, overviews, that sort of thing. I've never really gone in depth on any of them. And I thought, just kind of as a treat for maybe for the younger viewers or for the young at heart, we'd take a look at a couple of my personal favorites on Saturdays here. In particular, I'm kind of looking towards the live action spooky stuff. There's been a lot of those over the years, such as, of course, Are You Afraid of the Dark, which took Campfire Tales and spun it into an anthology horror series for kids. Of course, Goosebumps. Everybody knows Goosebumps. And there's been a lot of others over the years as well. But there's one in particular that always really stood out to me. And sadly, it's one of the shortest lived of all of them. It didn't even last an entire season. It actually got canceled after 19 episodes. I'm, of course, talking about Eerie, Indiana. So over the course of the next 5 Saturdays, we're going to review every single episode of Eerie, Indiana. Starting today, hold on, with disc number 1, which contains the first 3 episodes. And that's what we're going to talk about today on the Multimedia Chronicles Spooky Saturdays. Welcome back. I should mention right off the bat, I know a lot of you are fans of this show and may be wondering about the availability of the DVDs. Well, this is the original complete series DVD set that came out a few years back from, was it Image Entertainment? No, it was BMG Special Products. There you go. So, anyway, this particular set, I believe, has been out of print for a while. You can still find it out there. I've shopped around online a little bit. There was a re-release, however, that's a 3-disc set. Now, this one, I believe, is 5 single-layer discs, so that's why they had so many discs for only 19 episodes. Only 3 or 4 episodes per disc. So the new one, I'm pretty sure, is dual-layer discs, so that's they're able to fit a few more episodes on each disc. Anyway, it is readily available if you want to pick it up. I'll include some Amazon links in the description. Now, Eerie, Indiana, essentially is, I don't know how to describe it, kind of a little bit X-Files, a little bit Twin Peaks, just spooky enough for kids, but also very intelligently written. So there's a lot of stuff there for the grown-ups as well. This is really one of those rare gems that the parents can get just as much enjoyment out of as the kids, and you'll all get something a little different out of it, I think. I really enjoyed it a lot. I watched it quite a bit when it was on for all of its mostly one season. Back in 1991, when it originally aired, the standard length for a weekly series was generally 22 episodes. So Eerie, Indiana sadly got canned after 19. So it didn't quite make it to a full season, but hey, what we got was pretty sweet stuff. I should mention also there was a follow-up series done in 1998. Now, being 7 years after the original series, the original cast was, of course, a little too old to reprise their roles, so they passed the torch to a new cast of characters. It was called Eerie, Indiana, The Other Dimension. And that one lasted even less episodes. It only had 15. So, sadly, that one is not available on home video. I really wish they would put it out so that I could have it as a nice companion piece to that. Honestly, Eerie, Indiana, The Other Dimension, I didn't think had quite the same bite to it as the original series. But it wasn't without its merit. I mean, it was still good old Eerie, Indiana. It was good to see some kind of Eerie, Indiana back on the screen again, even if it was a slightly watered-down version. So with the first batch of episodes here, I'll just give you a quick look at the inside. So nothing too spectacular on the packaging there. Just got the sign for Eerie, Indiana there. And then population 16,661. You see what they did there? Yeah, so basically the story just generally follows the adventures of Marshall Teller, who recently moved with his family to this quaint little town of Eerie, Indiana. And he almost immediately starts to pick up on the fact that things just don't seem to be quite normal here. There's just something off about Eerie that he can't quite put his finger on. So he starts to investigate and starts to discover that there's a lot of strange things happening around town that nobody else seems to notice or acknowledge. So basically, he's trying to gather evidence of the weirdness in Eerie. So with the help of his best friend Simon, he basically has an evidence locker in his bedroom that where he stores all of his stuff that he's accumulated through his investigations. So it's very much like an X-Files for kids. And there's all kinds of just general weirdness. I mean, right from the opening titles, you know that this is something different. For example, he talks about how on his paper route there's a man who looks and acts suspiciously like Elvis, that Bigfoot eats out of his trash, and it's just all kinds of strange goings-on all over town. So the very first episode is entitled Foreverware, and it's kind of a parody of Tupperware parties, that sort of thing. There's this woman going around holding Tupperware parties and kind of suckers Marshall's mom into one of them. And the whole idea is that this Tupperware is like the best ever made and will just keep things forever. So as an example, she gives Marshall's mother a Tupperware container containing a sandwich that was made in 1974 or something like that. So, and it's just as fresh now as the day it was made, thanks to the miracle of Foreverware. So as Marshall begins to investigate, he just senses that something's off about this. So he investigates her and her home, and she has twin boys, and discovers that not only does Foreverware preserve food items, but she's also using gigantic Tupperware containers to preserve her own youth and the youth of her kids. Very strange. So there's a bit of Stepford Wives vibes off of this as well, as there's a lot of the other wives in town are all about Foreverware and love it and such. And you begin to question, like, well, how old actually are they? You know, like, how long have they been sticking themselves into giant Tupperware containers at night to preserve their youth? So Marshall and Simon basically set out to expose this and put a stop to it, because it just ain't natural. Not to mention the fact they accidentally break the seal on the sandwich, and it goes rotten very, very quickly. So it leads one to wonder, well, what will happen if the people are left out of their Tupperware containers overnight? Well, you'll have to watch the episode to find out. But it's pretty interesting the way things turn out, that's for sure. So that's just kind of our first taste of the weirdness of Eerie, Indiana. So moving on to the second episode, we meet up with another friend of Marshall and Simon's, named Steve, who has really horrible teeth. And he's basically being taken to the orthodontist to get just a huge freaking headgear. I should mention, the orthodontist is played by one of my all-time favorite character actors ever, Vincent Schiavelli. You know, you may or may not know the name, but you would definitely know the actor. He was in, like, everything from the 70s through to the early 2000s until he sadly passed away a few years ago. But one of my all-time favorite character actors. Just love his stuff to death. Always a treat whenever he would show up in something. So anyway, Steve gets this ridiculously massive, elaborate headgear. Just the most ridiculous orthodontic contraption you've ever seen. Just like wires and things sticking out all over the place, like a head brace, and just this massive thing. And you know, Marshall's talking about how gross it is watching him eat stuff because food gets stuck in it from, 2 weeks ago, and it's just really horrible. But as Steve is just kind of going about his daily life, getting accustomed to having this orthodonture work done, he begins hearing voices like strange voices. And he's trying to figure out where they're coming from. Like it doesn't seem to be coming from any people around him. He doesn't see anybody talking to him, and he discovers it's actually coming from the dogs. He's hearing what the dogs are thinking and saying to each other, and basically the three of them uncover this dog revolution that's being planned by all the canines in town. And they're like, this isn't good. They're talking about like overthrowing the people and eating them, and it's pretty scary stuff. So they have to figure out a way to thwart their plot there, and yeah. So there's kind of like little moral messages in these as well. Not in all the episodes, but in some of them. Like in Foreverwhere, for example, it's don't try to be anything but who you are. Like for example, Marshall says, after he resolves everything, I won't spoil how, you'll have to watch the episodes to find out. But after Marshall just kind of resolves everything, he says to his mom, I'm glad you didn't get all that stuff and get all organized. I like you just as the messy mom that I love. And that was very sweet. So it's just a nice little moral, very, very subtle, not being beat over the head with it, moral message of just be yourself, And I mean, the underlying message, I think, of the Braces one with the dogs is basically just be nice to animals, because otherwise they might plot a revolution and kill you. So the third episode, which was the third episode? I've watched like a whole pile of them here. Oh yeah, ATM with a Heart of Gold. Okay, so Marshall's father works for a company called Things Incorporated, and basically they just invent all kinds of weird things. And it seems like every other episode, his dad is working on a presentation for some strange new thing, or has invented some strange new thing, and he's trying to break new ground and be the next big thing, Things Incorporated. So in this one, he comes up with an automatic teller machine called Mr. Wilson, and it's basically like almost like a Max Headroom kind of thing. It's like this computer-generated head, kind of modeled after him, and it's supposed to make using a bank machine a much friendlier experience for people. So the sort of secondary plot of that is Simon is feeling kind of left out. Marshall's kind of starting. Simon's quite a bit younger than Marshall. He's 9. Marshall's 11. So Simon's kind of feeling a little bit left out of the loop as Marshall's hanging out with more and more with kids his own age, and such. So he just kind of goes up to the Mr. Wilson, and it like talks to you and stuff. It's like this fully animated head that talks to you, and so he starts talking to us like, "Hi, how's it going?" And Mr. Wilson's just like, "Have a nice day," and just doesn't really say much. So he says, "Please enter your personal identification number." So Simon punches in SIMON, and then Mr. Wilson just kind of, there's like this spark of life almost, and he just hands, like he has this little hand that extends out of the bank machine with your money in it, and just like gives Simon $20. And a little bit of time passes, and he's become like all popular and everything because he's suddenly got all this money. It's like it's the whole message here is money can't buy happiness, but in Simon's case it certainly is. It's basically just making him the king of the kids of Eerie. But then it turns out that all the money that Mr. Wilson is just giving away to Simon is coming out of everybody else's bank accounts. Now he doesn't realize, he's like 9 years old. He doesn't realize any of that. He just thinks like, oh, Mr. Wilson's my friend and he's giving me money because he likes me. But and then he realizes that all the other kids who are now his friends only like him because he has money. So yeah, money can't buy happiness, kids. Just spend your allowance on yourself. But yeah, very cool show overall. I don't want to say too much about how the episodes end. I just kind of give you the gist of the stories because I'd really love you guys to just check it out for yourself and enjoy. I mean, and if you got kids, watch it with your kids because you'll all have a great time. There's some wonderful episodes in here. Some of them are just weirdness, like the first three are just kind of weirdness. But there's some which we'll talk about in upcoming weeks that are actually quite deep and emotional and thought-provoking and affecting. This was really not your average kids show at all. It really took things to a whole new level and was entertaining kids by presenting them true quality entertainment. And they had some real caliber in here as well. I mean, they getting like top-notch character actors like Vincent Schiavelli and some others, which we'll talk about in future episodes. But also directors. 5 of the 19 episodes were actually directed by Joe Dante. Yeah, the guy who brought us Gremlins and lots of other stuff. Just look him up on IMDb, Joe Dante. It'll be like a list of movies that influenced your childhood if you were an '80s kid. You know, he was just the man in the '80s. So it was quite a coup for them to get him to direct several of the episodes. And I found the ones that he directs in particular have a little bit of extra bite to them, very much like his movies. Whereas his movies are very much, family friendly, but just scary enough for the kids. He brings that to Eerie, Indiana as well, and it was wonderful. So that's, I guess that's it for this first installment. I don't want to ramble on too much, but yeah. So I figured, there's 5 Saturdays in October. There's 5 discs in this set. So each week we're going to talk about the episodes on one of the discs here, one by one. So, yeah, Eerie, Indiana. Awesome stuff. Highest possible recommendation. I think anybody who loves scary kid stuff, be you a kid yourself or a kid at heart, definitely owe it to yourself to check this out. Alrighty, that is it for this edition. We'll see you next time. The fun has just begun. There's so much stuff coming this Halloween, man. I've really just gone nuts. I don't know what I was thinking, but you've got so much to look forward to this month. Alrighty. Big thank you to my Patreon sponsors, especially Kyle Pellegrini and Get Your Gorgeous On. Thank you very much for the support. Really appreciate it, guys. And we'll see you next time. Until then, thanks for watching, and sayonara. Oh no, wait, don't go. I completely forgot something super important. Episode 3 is also the first time we find out about the World of Stuff. Yeah, the World of Stuff is kind of the all-purpose general store for Eerie, Indiana. But now you may be thinking, oh, a general store, so like chocolate bars and Slurpees and groceries and toiletries. Yeah, it has all that stuff. But this is Eerie, Indiana. It doesn't just have that kind of stuff. Oh, no. It's got weird things there. It has an ice cream parlor. You can get shoes there. You can play video games there. There's like secret rooms in the back and stuff. It's definitely not your average convenience store by any means, or average general store by any stretch at all. This is the Eerie version. And the proprietor of the World of Stuff is a Mr. Radcliffe. And Radcliffe is kind of mysterious. Marshall immediately suspects something is off about him. He thinks maybe he's in the witness protection program or something, because he swears that every time he sees him wearing a completely different outfit. Like, not just clothes, but like a full-blown costume of some kind. Like, he's trying to hide his identity. And he's constantly like looking over his shoulder and really concerned. So there's something weird going on with Radcliffe, which maybe we'll find out more about later. But I just wanted to give an honorable mention to the World of Stuff because going forward, it becomes a pretty important location for Marshall and Simon in their adventures, just kind of as a place to meet, a place to get supplies, a place to look up information about things. It's just kind of an all-purpose store for pretty much everything they need throughout the series. And also, often some of the strange items that come from the World of Stuff end up causing a lot of the weirdness that they're investigating in that particular episode. So anyway, World of Stuff and Mr. Radcliffe. Didn't want to leave without mentioning those. All right. We'll see you next Saturday for the next disc of Eerie, Indiana. In the meantime, lots more Halloween fun to come throughout the week. See you there.